My friends, have you ever been tempted in your life to be jealous of a neighbor, a co-worker, a fellow student, or even a friend, of his or her accomplishments in life? Or perhaps be envious of the possessions they may have based on the accomplishments of their life? Yeah, it may sound like a question that an immediate reaction would be, well, Bishop, certainly not. I mean, I'm trying to be faithful to the Lord. I would not do that. But I invite you to really ask the question honestly and deeply, because my suspicion is all of us at one time or another have been tempted or fallen into this sin of jealousy. For example, when we were younger, in high school and college, how many times were we tempted to be jealous of those natural athletes that did everything well, no matter what they chose to do, and we had to struggle with routine after routine just to make the cut? Or I think of my time in high school, where I was with a class of men who were simply brilliant. And I would struggle with my English prose, and they were my classmates who were learning Russian on the side on the weekends, fluent. Or you think of those people who have natural physiques that are always seemingly athletic, and you look at a piece of cake and you gain weight. You don't even have to eat it. You just look at it and you gain weight. And you say, how could they do that and not me? I think we're all at times tempted to be jealous. And of course, it's a sin. It can be a profoundly serious sin, because at best, it prevents us from loving our neighbor. And that itself is sinful, for valuing their beauty and uniqueness. But also it harms ourselves, because it hardens our hearts to that which God has given us in our own lives. I'll have more to speak about that in a moment. But there is a basic spiritual truth that you and I really need to come to grip with in our lives. For as we look at this gospel and we see the reaction of these workers, one to the other, if the landowner in many ways represents God our Father, the simple spiritual truth is, my friends, is that God gives gifts and talents according to his inscrutable will. He gives them differently to each of us. And they are given not for simply our own benefit, but they are given to be given away, to be in service of our neighbor. And at times it may not make sense to us why someone may be seemingly gifted with those skills and talents and we don't have them. But God our Father knows that which we do not know. And what they have and what we have been given are for our good and for his glory and for his work. So why spend the spiritual energy? Why waste the time in comparisons one to the other? It is, after all, a dead end. You know, I recall one of the many things my father used to tell me when I was growing up, and he would make decisions and I would question them, and he would say to me, he said, you know what? I don't have to explain to you the things I decide to do. He said, I may choose to tell you if I think it's to your benefit, but I don't have to explain it. You need to trust me. And I think the same is true for God our Father. As he gives, as he chooses, to each of us differently. But my friends, there is another deeper lesson at work here. And that is, many times you and I are tempted to jealousy of our neighbor and envy of the things they own because we have forgotten to be grateful. That we spend too much time looking at those around us and not enough time looking into our own eyes, into our own life. For you and I are wildly blessed. And many times we forget those blessings because they're ordinary, or we take them for granted, or they become the fabric of our life. And so I would ask you this week, as a spiritual exercise, not to fall into that temptation, but to be conscious of the blessings you receive. each and every day, as they come to you, as they come to me. Whether it is being struck by the beauty of the season that's beginning to unfold in our midst this autumn, whether it is simply the cool breeze that refreshes us when we leave our home, whether it is our ability to make others laugh, or others be consoled, or to be able to listen profoundly from the heart, which are great gifts God gives us and asks us to cooperate with His grace to make His presence felt. Or the time that you and I can give to others, because God has given us abilities to complete other tasks faster than our neighbor could. Our blessings are mighty and many, oftentimes masked. And if we spend more time naming them, celebrating them, and thanking the landowner for what he has given us, we will be less tempted to worry about what anybody else has. We will be celebrating what we have and be told and respond to give them all away. That is how we will learn to love our neighbor. For in the end, when the day draws to a close, as these laborers discovered in the vineyard, and you and I, at a time and day where we do not expect, we are called before the landowner. We are called before our merciful and gracious and loving Father in heaven. And He has before us the gift that He wants to give us to complete every gift and talent in this life. Life unending, life in glory, life where we are reunited with our sisters and brothers who have gone before us, where we can laugh and dance and live in perpetual, joyful love. When we stand at that moment, and all of that will be offered to us who strive to be His faithful disciples in mission. Will it really matter if my classmate learned Russian, my neighbor has a Porsche, or anything else that I am tempted to be jealous of?